You started the first day of 7th grade and you had not only been homeschooled up until that point, but mostly unschooled. Like, we just read a lot of books together and we just helped facilitate you feeding your passions. So what was that like?
I was nervous that I wasn't going to know as much as the other kids. I was kind of just myself, and it seriously paid off because, I'm not even trying to brag, but I was like one of the most popular kids.
One day last November or October, you came up to Dad and you had your laptop and you said, hey, I started this Fidelity account.
So invested, got Fidelity, downloaded Fidelity, just a investment account. Why not? That'll compound. So got my Roth IRA going. Lost $700. I was like, nah, it's gonna go back up. Obviously, it's the dang stock market. It does this. And now, I actually checked today, I am up $900 in total. My name is Saul. I'm 16 years old. I'm 6'1", and this is the Story Schooling Podcast.
What if I told you that a story could teach your child more history, science, math, and literature than a year of textbooks? Welcome to the Story Schooling Podcast. I'm Angel Selden, author of Curiouser.
And I'm Sandy Fouts, co-founder of Wonder While Learning.
Yay, welcome, Saul. Saul is my son. And it's so good to have you. I'm excited to interview you because he's a pretty amazing young man.
Thanks,
so, Saul,
Mom.
tell us, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself right now?
So I just graduated with my associate's degree, and I have my diploma in carpentry, and I'm also a part-time barista and part-time blue collar doing house remodeling work, and I also work part-time for a concrete company.
How did you get into that?
So basically, my grandpa, he's a contractor, and this is the concrete company he always hires to do his work, and they needed help, so I pulled up.
Yeah. So what was the path when you got your degree? Like what kind of, what did that look like? In person, online? What kind of classes were you taking?
So the carpentry was all in person, and that was a whole year of school. And then the generals, I would say, were like a little more on the online side.
So you're 16. What do? You like to work. What else?
Yeah, so right now I'm just focused on work so I can save up for college. I'm a bit of a foodie. I'm into health. Gotta stay healthy, keep that body going.
When you're home and that off time, what kind of activities do you love to do?
I'd be going to the gym.
Okay.
I'll watch TV, of course. I'll play basketball,
So pretty active.
skateboard,
Yeah.
hang out with my friends.
Any family time?
Yeah, I have some family time. It's more quality over quantity type of family time.
Hey,
But
I love that line. Tell me more.
yeah, so it's little bits throughout the day, but those little bits are just so fun and just, so much love.
So this last week, what are some of those moments? What do you remember this last week?
I would just say hanging out with my youth group once a week.
Okay.
Those are like some of the best couple hours of my week.
Yeah, tell us about last
And
night.
yeah, last night we had a improv/basketball night, hybrid.
And it was our whole family there, all the kids who are home still.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've graduated with your associate's degree, you have a carpentry diploma, you're working in construction now. What's the next step for you?
So my next step is to go to college for a year and save up for that. That's why I'm such a workaholic right now.
So you have to pay for it,
Of course, I get a grind for
Mhm.
that.
but you got a scholarship.
I did, half scholarship.
What's your major?
Automotive engineering technology.
What is that?
So that's like wrenching away on cars and just knowing the ins and outs of an engine. I'm really excited. And it's something I'm genuinely passionate about. So I'm sure I'll have a great time.
So your passion for construction came from your grandpa. Your grandpa was a mentor for you. Where did the automotive passion come from?
The automotive passion came from wanting to know how to fix my own car. I don't have a car right now, but I feel like it would just be so helpful and useful and cool to just be able to pull over if something's going wrong and just I know how to fix that, or know what to do in the situation instead of I'm going to bring it to this mechanic and like, hopefully they don't scam me.
Yeah.
And is that what you want as a career, or you're just gaining life skills?
Yeah. So basically, I'm just trying to become a jack of all trades right now. So morph my name from Saul into Jack because of how much stuff I know how to do.
Nice.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm just trying to like widen my tool belt.
What's
Mhm.
next? Once you learn how to fix your own cars, then what?
I want to go into the peace officer program at Hennepin Technical College. So that just teaches about like the law and different scenarios. If you're a police officer called into like a burglary, you'll know what to do, stuff like that. Yeah.
So is that another career, or is that just widening your tool belt again?
The career opportunity,
That's right.
if I ever need one.
So what do you want to do to make money?
Like in the end,
In the end, what are you doing to make money? Do you have any ideas?
I want to own my own business and be an entrepreneur.
And what I found happens often is once you're gaining all these skills, all of a sudden something sparks that the idea comes. And then, we could ask you, what are you going to do? But who knows what you're so interested in so many different things, and who knows where that will actually lead to. Often we're surprised in the end of what actually comes out of that. So are you doing any study for entrepreneurship then?
I mean, I took a class for a general, but that didn't do too much.
It wasn't very helpful.
Right now, I'm just like a sponge. I'm just like noticing in the workplace what works and what doesn't. And then when it's time for me to manage a workplace, I can now emulate what I learned when I was in my learning years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell us about that note you keep on your phone.
I got a lot of notes on my phone. I don't know which one you're talking about.
You said that you take notes on your phone of things your manager does that you think are helpful and effective and things that are not.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the owner of the coffee shop. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll let you guys in on my note. I trust the story schooling community listeners.
Yeah, open it up.
All right, let's open it up. Let's open up the note.
So these are your observations. I love this because that's one of the things Angel's really good at teaching through stories and reading and all the things you do with parenthood and education is the power of observation. Let's hear it.
Yeah. My first note. Make sure you are consistently working there. This is like, all right, this isn't from the perspective if you're the owner of a place and you've like hired it out so you don't have to do too much work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Make sure you're consistently working there and putting in shifts. You don't have to be like 30 hours a week or 20 hours a week, but like a good amount where you actually know what's going on. And putting in shifts so you know exactly how things are done and how new things can be implemented. Because it's embarrassing to be the owner/manager and not know how to do anything. And this is the Story Schooling podcast, so I got a story to go along with that. When you're the owner of a dang coffee shop and you don't know how to like make a latte or a dang chocolate milk, like that's just straight embarrassing. That is like, there's no way. So
Know
that's
your
where that one
business.
comes from.
So you should know your business. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have
What, you
another
guys want to hear a second?
Yes.
All right, but show appreciation wherever you can and recognition. Because when I be doing the dishes or something, feels good when someone's like, "Oh, thank you for doing that." Like every time someone else is doing the dishes and I put another thing that makes their pile go higher, I always be saying, "Thank you so much for doing that." Even if it's like 30 seconds since the last dish or since the last time I said it. I just be saying it again. Because that's something you can't overdo. Well, it's
So
like, obviously you can overdo it, but.
What you're thinking about is the company culture you want to create when
Exactly.
you have your own business.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
You know what this note reminds me of? This note reminds me of George Washington's rules of civility. Like as he went through his life, he kept a note, probably on his phone, where he wrote down, like, what are the rules I want to live by? And then he created his rules of civility. They're probably a little different than yours, but that's exactly what you're doing. George Washington, he spent a lot of time observing and deciding what was the kind of character and what were the rules that he personally wanted to live by. That's what your note is for you.
Exactly.
It is Saul's rules of civility.
It is. This will be the last one I share.
Yeah.
So I would say this is my best note. Like I was cooking when I was coming up with this. Again, perspective of you're the owner / manager of something and you need to hire people. Do not require someone to have a degree to work for you or like other work experience or like a good resume. High key go off vibes.
All right. What kind of vibes?
I think you should have an in-person interview. And if it's somebody who's like pretty normal, like nice, you can tell they're a hard worker, just mad fun to be around, like just mad jokative, but like actually gets work done too. Like I feel like you can tell all of this in an in-person interview, then they're good. Like don't be requiring like, but they don't have like a bachelor's degree. It's
So-
like
You don't know how wise you are. Like, I listen to a lot of business podcasts, and you're hiring off of character versus hiring off of skills because you can teach skills. It is much harder to teach character than it is to teach skills. And so
exactly.
That's your company culture. I mean, there's to have observed that and decided that like by your own observations as opposed to hearing it in somebody's podcast and going, that's a great idea. Like that was your own observation.
Which is what our listeners just did.
Yeah.
Like, all right, y'all can steal my idea. Like, I came up with it. Now you guys can have it.
Therefore, that's what we should be focusing on when raising children,
Yes.
in their education is what kind of education builds character, because that's so difficult to change. But someone who has good character traits, you can teach them the skills and the knowledge. They'll pick it up so fast. And I thought it was interesting that, coming from the young man who got his associate's degree at age 16, and even he is saying, don't hire based on if somebody has a degree or not, go by character.
Exactly.
So let's rewind a little bit. Tell us about your childhood and schooling experience or lack of schooling.
Give me an age range.
At key moments. So first, talk about your homeschool years. So Saul was homeschooled full-time from birth through 6th grade. What would have been his 6th grade year? His education was entirely me reading aloud a lot of books or him reading books on his own eventually, and just pursuing whatever projects and goals he wanted to pursue. And he had a lot of passions. So tell us about some of your memories.
So since I've been young, I just absolutely loved taking apart things and breaking them down to their finest bits to see how something, touches a battery and then gains electricity, or to see the membrane of a button of a calculator and see how that mechanism pushes down and then squirts back up. And it's always just been so fascinating to me. And I always look at something and I'm like, what is going on inside of there? And how does that work? How does it all come together to become a working thing? I actually have a cool story with a video I saw about a guy. This is your average Joe. His name even might have been Joe. I can't remember. But he was tasked with building a toaster from scratch. You can buy a toaster at Walmart for like $10, right? But he had to build it straight from scratch. Like couldn't start with nothing. So he like took a toaster apart and looked at every piece, its job, like researched it. And he was like, all right, I'm gonna build my toaster. So he like flew to mines in Indonesia, I don't know, something like that. And, like got the metals and the body of the toaster and all the heating contraption, however that works. And he spent 9 years trying to build this toaster from scratch. When it finally became time to try to toast his piece of bread, after like 7 seconds of it being down, it like burst into flames or exploded or something. And he spent like thousands of dollars trying to like harvest these metals and fly to these different countries. And I just thought that story was so cool because it's like that really makes you appreciate all of the, simple things like a box fan or computer monitor that actually takes so many different pieces to make work. But due to the fact that we actually have global trade now, it makes it super simple to buy a monitor on Amazon for like $80 when if you had to get a monitor and build it yourself, you couldn't. It just straight, I feel like you just couldn't if you were an average Joe, at least. So
Yeah.
that's one reason I'm so fascinated. I mean, I was fascinated with taking apart things and stuff like that before I knew that story, but I really relate to that because it's like, wow, I'm just so grateful to have the materials to build this simple thing.
Now I understand why you're going into automotive mechanics, how things work.
Hey.
Yeah, he's so fascinated by that. I remember when he was 5 years old, or maybe 6, and I walked into his bedroom and I didn't say anything. I just took a picture, but he had gotten into our toolbox, got a screwdriver out and unscrewed the fan and just kept taking it apart. And he took the whole thing apart and I didn't say anything. Obviously, I didn't get angry, but I also wasn't like, let me jump in and make this a teaching moment. You know, I just let him mess with it. And ultimately, he put the whole thing back together again and it worked again. And also caught him playing around in the toilet tank multiple times. And what else? Oh, that you took apart the calculator. Begged us so many times to change the oil on the car, and he had a chance to fill a hole in the tire. And we just always let him mess around with things. It takes more time on our part. It would be easier and cheaper, actually, to bring it to an oil change place. But we knew that this was
I don't know about that.
an opportunity,
Be faster.
a learning opportunity for him. And he was asking for it. He wanted to do this grown-up work. So I have changed the name of this habit multiple times as my editor and I have been working on my book, but it is now Grow in Grown-Up Spaces. And I used to call it Play at Grown-Up Work. It's been a number of different titles, but this idea of instead of creating kid versions of things or growing in spaces that are created just for kids, grow in spaces that were created for everybody, the intergenerational spaces, and let them try grown-up things if they want, like working on cars. So tell us about some of these projects you did.
The camper van?
The camper van. Yeah. So I think it started out as a bus, right? So tell us about that. When we wanted to get an old school bus.
I think this was about a couple years ago, 2019, 10 or 11 years old. I was born in 09 for reference. I was like, yo, what if I just like bought a school bus and just like whipped around a school bus? And then that kind of snowballed into like, shoot, there's some really cool bus conversions. So you can take the seats out, pouring in insulation, sleep in it. So I was like, yo, that'd be sick. And then you can just like go anywhere, save a ton of money on hotels. And I realized I'm probably not going to get my hands on an actual school bus, but our van, our minivan, can fit a mattress in the back. Let's try to do what we can with that. Obviously, since me and my grandpa are blue collar, we can just like whip that up real quick. So pull up to his house, formulate a plan, start, screwing, get some rails in for a drawer, soft close, of course. Create this base that we can just slap a mattress on. And a couple building sessions later, we got a full-on dang camper van in our minivan. And it was like, could store tons of stuff. You could sleep in the back and pretty much traveled the whole dang world with that thing. No, I'm just kidding. Went to one place, but I was able to fit
How often did you use it?
one trip, maybe like a week.
No, but this is what's so cool about that. It's like the treehouse that you build all summer and then you never use. It's not about like the end result. Like the excitement comes in like the process, and the end result is what we always think that we want, but it's in the learning, like that process that's where the real joy actually is.
It's about building the camper van. It doesn't matter how many trips you actually take in it. It's freaking fun building it.
Okay. I have to I love exactly what you said. Like the process is where all the learning is. It's where all the excitement is. It's where we get all the adrenaline and the joy happens in that whole process of it. And oftentimes it's not even as big as a camper van. It's in the small things. Our kid gets excited about something, and so we just do it instead of allowing them to like think through it and make the plan and then, struggle a little bit and then get excited about a new idea and fail a little and solve the problem. Like that's where all the excitement and joy and learning, like that's what we actually want. But sometimes we forget that part and we skip to the end because we miss the point of it all. We just skip it and we just give them the end result. But that's really not what they want. They want the experience.
I think we make that mistake the most with just acquiring knowledge. Just here, we're going to give you the knowledge and the information instead of letting them struggle themselves. Made me think of a quote from Lord of the Flies, which I'm reading right now.
The other thing I think was super cool is that your mom may not have had the time or the knowledge to help you with this thing you were excited about. And so she got you a mentor, or you found yourself a mentor, however it went. So often we think that like homeschool moms have to do it all, they have to know it all, and we get really overwhelmed, and we limit our child's experience by our own knowledge instead of allowing them to learn from other people who know and have maybe more time and more knowledge than we do personally. So shout out to the good mentors out there.
Yeah, shout out to the mentors out there for like, teaching, putting their wisdom upon everybody.
Passing their knowledge and their skills on to the next generation.
Okay, here's the quote I thought of. So, Lord of the Flies, you probably know, is a story about a group of schoolboys who crash on a deserted island and have to survive until the adults come and rescue them. And I'm seeing it through a different lens this time. I always see it through a different lens. I really think there's so much to learn from this book. People hate the story, and it's frightening. But anyway, reading about them trying to do things themselves and the joy they get out of it, more than just having the thing itself, is what I'm focused on right now. So this is towards the beginning, and they're exploring the island to make sure it's just an island. The cause of their pleasure was not obvious. All three were hot, dirty, and exhausted. Ralph was badly scratched. The creepers, or the vines, were as thick as their thighs and left little but tunnels for further penetration. So this jungle was so thick, they had to like crawl on their hands and knees through these tunnels through the brush. And so they were just getting filthy and scratched up, bleeding. "This is real exploring," said Jack. "I bet nobody's been here before." "We ought to draw a map," said Ralph, "only we haven't any paper." "We could make scratches on bark," said Simon, "and rub black stuff in." Again came the solemn communion of shining eyes in the gloom. I mean, really, a map made by scratching it out on bark and then filling it in with dirt to make black lines. The excitement is in the fact that they are figuring it out themselves. They're doing the work themselves, and it's way more fun than if adults had been there and handed them a map and there had been paved trails. There was a lot of gratification they got from that, and so I think that's like learning. Okay, Saul, let's hear more from you. Tell us about some of the risks you've taken. I would love to talk more about your sneaker obsession and then investing in sneakers and then your stock market research and investment.
All right, bet. I love myself a good little risk. And one thing that I've risked is my money. And not in gambling, but actually investing. And maybe 2 years ago, even now, but I'm not too much into it now, is sneakers. And I hear about these sneaker resellers, getting them for retail, which is the price that someone like Nike sells them at. And then when those sell out, they relist them and mark them up here. So it goes high. And I'm like, all right, I love sneakers. I love making money. I'm going to try this out. So I found these pair of Jordans that I thought were going to resell really high. I was like, these are fire. Like the colorway is sick. They're Jordan 1s. So I was like, I'm going to buy them, hold on to them, and then I'm going to resell them, hopefully for a bit of a profit. So I bought them and I held on to them for, Mom, how long did I hold on to them for? A couple of years. Was it years?
Couple years.
Was it like 2 years?
It was like a year and a half or 2 years. It was probably 2 years.
Maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Basically, I'm not going to lie, I kind of messed up. I sold them on StockX, if you know, you know. And there's an option where you can list your shoe or you can just sell to the highest bidder. Back then, I had $300 to my name and they were like $150. So great. That's half of my net worth. But in the present, at the time, I didn't really need the money. It kind of just was there. So I was like, great, I'm going to just sell it to the highest bidder. What I should have done was I should have listed them for a price and waited for someone to buy them, not give it to the highest bidder. But that's besides the point. So I did end up losing about $75 but that's because I kind of messed up on my end. But I didn't really care. It was kind of free money because it had been so long since I bought them. So that was kind of a mistake. But guess what? It actually helped me become more comfortable with losing money because I came back like a boomerang, like 6 months ago. Not even, maybe 5 months ago. Started investing in the stock market, which is a lot more reliable than sneakers. So your boy's in a 500 index fund. You're probably going to make money a lot better in the stock market. Oh, what's this? And I'll put my savings in here. Just a investment account, nothing too crazy. I was like, okay, this is cool. Start my Roth IRA. Why not? That'll compound. So you got my Roth IRA going. Lost $700. I was like, nah, it's going to go back up. Obviously, it's the dang stock market. It does this. And now, I actually checked today, I am up $900 in total. So I'd lost $700. And now, the amount I've put in, I've made $900. So I'm like, let's go.
$1,600 swing.
That's good math.
Okay, so yeah, I just want to be clear that you lost 700. You didn't just make 900 after that, like you're up 200.
I'm a net positive of 900.
How did you even learn, like, so you tell us what you did, but how did you learn all of that?
How did I learn all of that?
Yeah.
Like investing. So my friend Carter Moses actually put me on to the Fidelity app. I don't remember what the context of the conversation was, but talking about how he has his money invested. So he's in a little bit of a more like safer index fund where it's like kind of guaranteed to go up. Like he just makes like $50 a month on average. I'm at a bit more of a risky one, but yeah, he told me about downloading Fidelity, putting my money in there, and my dad already had an account. So I was like, great, I don't actually think you can have your own account at my age. So you kind of have to have an older person have an account. And then just transferred all of my savings. I was making like 10 cents a month with Wells Fargo savings. So that's like terrible. And now I started like 4 months ago and I'm already net positive $900. So that's a win.
That's cool.
And yeah, so that was just a big, big success. And that's low key, low hanging fruit. Like if you don't have your money in a investing account, it's like pretty easy.
I know a lot of adults that don't even do that. And have that kind of information or wisdom.
Even my coworkers who are like 20s who I work with, I'm like, bro, you're missing out on free money.
A couple of things I wanted to share my perspective of the situation. All I knew and my husband knew was we didn't even know he was pursuing this. We knew he was playing a stock market simulator app, which I want to hear more about and how that helped you in this. But all I know is one day last November or October, you came up to Dad and you had your laptop and you said, hey, I started this Fidelity account and then I got to this point where I put in my birth date and it said I was too young to have it. So it was your idea. This was not our idea at all. We didn't really even help him with it, except he came to us and said, I have this problem. I'm not old enough. And it was his idea to just give us his money. And then we put it in a separate account that's in my husband's name, but is for him. And we'll transfer it over to his name when he's 18. But yeah, so I want to know how the stock market simulator app, and was Carter your only source of information for this, or did you do other research?
I didn't really do too much research. I'd watch a couple of YouTube videos about money routines, or it's like they're titled What My Money Routine Is Every Paycheck. So I'd watch those. And like they all had their money in investment accounts, their savings. So that helped a lot. And then my friend put me on to an app called Webull, and you can do something called paper trading, which is it's fake money and you can invest in real companies. And so you start with a certain amount of money. We started at $100,000 and then you can invest in real companies and then see if their market price went up or went down, and then see if you would lose or make money. That would have actually happened if you invested real money, but it's just fake money. And since there's no risk at all, just find these like niche companies no one's ever heard of. And I just put like tons of money in there and then wait and then just like take it out at a random time, invest in another niche company. And so I ended up making like $20,000. But my other friends, and like I had another friend who was doing it with us. He lost like $80,000. So it was like, I was like, shoot, I should be doing this IRL.
In real life, in case you don't know.
Yeah.
Wow. So your practice was playing the real stock market with fake money, and then you were free to take risks since there were no consequences until you felt like you knew what you were doing well enough you could invest real money.
Yeah, kind of. It's different because I'm just like in a index fund, so like just like a spread of a ton of different companies. I'm not investing in niche individual companies, but yeah.
But it was probably still good practice.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is like you say, I hear all the things you're doing now, the things you have done in the past, but your ultimate goal is to own your own business and to be an entrepreneur. And all of these things that you're telling me and that you're talking about are skills and preparing you for entrepreneurship. One of the biggest things is taking risks and learning about money and learning, money sense. And those are the things that you're doing right now. And a lot of it feels like you're just playing. Like it's play, but it's playing actually real stuff too. And as you're playing, you're learning and you're gaining skills and knowledge that's then going to be transferable into entrepreneurship. So that one day you're not like, okay, I want to do this thing, and you have to gain all those skills. Like it's so cool at 16, you don't even realize all the skills that you're gaining that are leading up to what your actual goal is. The other thing that I thought of is the quote, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. As we curate our kids' friends, like you wonder sometimes why your kids act a certain way or why they do certain things. Like that, you're in the room with somebody who is the kind of person that you want to be and the kind of person you want to become. And so you're feeding off of each other. As I hear these relationships with your friends, that's fueling some of these ideas and some of these passions for good. And I'm sure you're a kid and you do things. You did admit you watch TV. So that's a a healthy, normal kid thing to do. But you're also doing all these really cool things that are coming from your friends and your peers because you have curated a nice group of friends. And Carter doesn't even live by you anymore, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were on a trip together.
Cool.
When he told me about that.
So a big part of that is, Saul's closest friends are my friends' kids. And so as parents, if we are choosing good friends, then it's more likely that our kids will have good friends. I think the other thing is you tend to attract people to you who are like you. You're going to attract people who are on the same wavelength as you. But the importance of hold on to your kids, I think making sure that their first best friend is you.
And the piece of it where he says, or you said where he comes to you, with his laptop and says, this is what I've done so far. There's a huge level of trust that has been built up to the point where he feels like, hey, it's no big deal to just show my mom and dad that, hey, look, I've been playing with index funding and learning all this stuff and I want to do this. Like there's trust that's been built over time on both sides of it, where he knows that he's allowed to make mistakes and play and do all these things and learn and be creative and go outside of a box, and he doesn't have to he's 16 now. I don't know when you started, so there's probably this level of permission being granted as he builds trust and earns that. So then he knew that he could come to his parents and they're not going to get upset or take it over or do it with them, that you're this partnership that you have together in his growing up. Like you are 100% on his team, not lording over him, that you are there and he knows that you're just going to help him through these ideas and crazy whims that he may have, and he trusts that he can do that, which is cool.
Yeah. Like the time when I told him I'd pay him $10 to eat this ant that he was holding. I don't make my kids do math problems, but I'll give them a challenge. I want them to do hard things,
Pull them out of their comfort zone.
Or my other son Charles and I built a Quincy together, a snow hut, and you're like, I should sleep in it. Maybe it was even 10 degrees or something. It was cold here in Minnesota. And
I was like, if you do it, I'll give you $20. I rarely, like, I don't pay my kids to do things very often.
Did you
We have
pay me?
some. I did. But if there's something they want to do, and I think that, like, this is a really hard thing, and then I'll sweeten the deal a little bit. I mean, I'm not giving him like $100, you know, but it was, and I'll celebrate with you by paying you $20, or I'll take you to, you know, Chipotle or something. We'll celebrate your accomplishment. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but he did it. And he woke
Mhm.
up. He said he just woke up multiple times during the night, cold.
Bro, I didn't fall asleep till like 3 a.m. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Freezing. Couldn't move. It was just hollowed out for a body.
I couldn't even be in there. I went in there and came out immediately. The claustrophobia was awful.
We're supposed to be warm. What? There's a whole left.
Yeah,
We did it
facts.
wrong.
What's up with
We
that?
did it wrong. There was an opening, I guess. It
What?
just got in. If you do it right, they're warm.
Was I supposed to close the opening?
I think I put like a sled over it, but that's not going to do much.
Hollow
Bro.
object for insulation.
The cold will find a way. Let's just say that.
You started 7th grade. That was your first time going to school. You started the first day of 7th grade and you went the whole year full time. And you had not only been homeschooled up until that point, but mostly unschooled. Like, we just read a lot of books
Unschooled.
together. You guided your course of learning, and we just helped facilitate you feeding your passions. So what was that like? What was first day of 7th grade and beyond?
First day of 7th grade, if I could describe it in one word, I actually don't know. But I was pretty nervous, but I was excited, and I knew that everybody already had their cliques and their friends. But I also knew, since kind of everybody was just starting middle school and entering in, that there would be some people who would be open to, you know, making new friends and stuff. I was nervous that I wasn't going to know as much as the other kids. And probably a couple days in, we were full steam ahead. Let's just say that. I remember, I don't know if it was the first class of math class that we actually did this, but there was a class that was like, all right, let's review everything you guys learned in 6th grade.
6th grade math.
We're talking first class where we're actually doing math, and we're already getting a worksheet handed out, like test style where everyone's silent. You got 20 minutes to fill everything on this sheet that you know, and then you hand it in. So I'm literally freaking out. I'm like, I don't know any of this. And after we kind of did that was just like the first 20 minutes of class. So there was like still a good chunk of time after that. Everyone was like literally all the kids in the class were like, yeah, I didn't know a single thing on that sheet. So I was like, okay, that made me feel better. And I thought they were just going to be like absolutely zooming through it, but no, that felt really good. And then since they didn't remember really anything from 6th grade, I kind of learned with them. Well, it's like, because like I didn't know what they were learning in, you know, public school. So then I was like, great, this is my opportunity to learn with them, except it's like kind of my first time what they learned in 6th grade. So that kind of got me started on the right track. And it was just, you know, I was good from there. You know, I just got to make sure I pay attention in class and know the algorithms. And so that basically made me a professional hoop jumper. I always like to say I don't have an associate's degree. I have a degree in hoop jumping.
Do you really feel like that's what you learned in college?
The carpentry, no. The generals, 100%.
Do you find that really frustrating or difficult?
Yeah, I would say frustrating. It was because before, due date, what's that? But now in 7th grade, you got to get this homework done by next class. Oh yeah, and you have 8 other classes that you have to do. So it's like you really got to find time with, you know, it's like a juggling act, basically. Trying to find, you know, oh, I got to make sure this due date, and then you have this much time to complete a test when there's none of that in homeschool. It's like, all right, let's see what you know. Grab a blank sheet of paper, kind of do some practice problems, whatever. This is like, you know, there's borders that you can't cross, and you got to stay within the borders. And so that it was very different, and it was hard.
Do you think there's anything that you learned, like skills that you learned from that year, that actually translated into skills that were good moving besides hoop jumping?
Bags.
into, your life. Things that you learned specifically in that 7th grade year that helped you or prepared you or taught you.
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest things that stayed with me is being yourself. A lot of kids came from elementary school being the ones who were shot down or just like, I don't know, being the quiet kid. And everybody knew them as that. And so they couldn't really, they're now stuck as, oh, this is the quiet kid. And when everybody treats you that way, you stay that way. But since I was coming in as like, fresh, I didn't have enemies, I didn't have friends. Like I could literally become, like whatever I wanted. Like I'm not the quiet kid, I'm not the kid who's being bullied. I'm the kid who's friends with everybody. And so it was just like, I don't know, it just worked out with my personality and I was just me. And me is like friends with everybody. So it just like helped me stay myself and like, taking my college classes and just meeting, random people. Because if you don't vibe with me, then I don't care, that's how I roll.
So it's a big social experiment for you.
Yeah, pretty much. Big social experiment.
That was most of what you feel like you learned and gained from that year was social.
Yeah, 100%. No educational.
So you went to all of 7th grade, and then you went to about 2 months of 8th grade and transitioned to college. So how did that happen?
Yeah, so 7th grade was like, it was mostly the sleep. It's like homeschool, you can sleep in till 11. Doesn't matter. You can do school at 12. Like, there's just nothing.
You can sleep until 12. It's just nothing. He would not sleep in that late. But the reality is he would often sleep until 9, not always, but I would say 9, rarely later, maybe 10 on days that we had a late night. But yeah, my kids have always gotten plenty of sleep, like 11, 12 hours, even through elementary school. Yeah.
It's okay.
Whatever.
We know you're a
it
good
doesn't
mom.
matter. Yeah. So you can kind of sleep in whenever you want and then sleep intuitively. 7th grade, you can't do that. I would say that was so, if I could like how hard each thing was, I would say the actual school was like 40% of the hardness, sleep was the other 40%, and then social life was like 20% or like even 10%. That wasn't too bad. But it was like, you still got to be cool. You got a reputation to hold. And so finally, year of 7th grade done, waking up at 7 a.m. or whatever every morning. And I'm like, yes, finally made it to summer. I'm free. Well, guess what? Summer went by in like a flash. It's already 8th grade. Yeah, I'm not doing this. I can't do this. As much as like it was so hard because I had so much fun friends and it was genuinely the most fun year I've ever had in my life was 7th grade. So that was like tore me apart, but I just knew I couldn't do it with the school. So I was like, yeah, I got to start taking college classes, as hard as that would be. And that worked out really well. My first 2 classes that I took were basically free credits. Like if you show up, you're going to get the credits. Like it took no effort. And I felt like that was really good to get me started.
It was easier to get an A, but you felt like you learned more.
Yeah. Like more interesting. And in public school, in like 7th grade, middle school, it feels like your work's going to nothing. Like you could spend all the time in the world on an assignment, submit it, like, oh, feel good about yourself. But it's like, I'm not even going to remember this. And it feels like it goes nothing. See, when I'm working for credits and it's going towards an associate's degree, that feels like something. And getting my associate's degree, I felt something and it feels freaking good. And like I actually accomplished something.
Wow. I remember you saying when you were in 8th grade, you said, this is so boring. I feel like it's the biggest waste of my time and it's not worth it for the little bit of social time I get, because you did love the social aspect of school.
Oh my gosh. So fun. Like genuinely, the amount of dopamine you get just from hanging out with your friends at school doesn't come close to like TikTok or eating your favorite food. Like it's just on another level. I don't know. It just feels so good. And it was so fun. But yeah,
but you gave that up.
I had to give it up. That was my most valuable thing I had at the time was my friends at school. that was like so amazing. But I had to give it up. And that tore me apart for a little bit trying to make this decision. But I knew it's the decision I had to make.
It's so interesting because my son had a similar experience as far as going and a very similar personality to you. But I will say he did not find the friends and the social that he had expected or hoped. Tried for a couple of years and eventually left because had the exact same sentiments as you, but without that core group of friends, and said the same thing. It was such a waste of his time and learned little, felt like he was jumping through hoops, and eventually said, I'm just going to go to college because this isn't how I want to spend my time.
I also find it interesting that he became like one of the most popular kids at school almost immediately. And it sounds like actually being homeschooled was to his advantage in that way, whereas most people would say, well, that's going to set you back because you haven't been raised surrounded by a group of kids. But Saul said something to the effect of, I remember even at the time, he said, I didn't know that I was supposed to be inhibited or something. I didn't know that I was supposed to be worried about what other people thought of me. So I was just myself. And that was to his advantage. So it's possible you can thrive in school after being homeschooled and not be doing the same school curriculum as they are.
The summary of this episode, put your 14-year-old into community college classes.
Mm-hmm.
Were you in person?
The first 2 classes I took were in person.
Okay.
For, I think it was maybe 2-3 hours of class, and they were back to back. So I just spent 1 day a week going to, like 6 hours spent at the college. Then I'd work on my assignments throughout the week. And then they were all due on the next Tuesday, which is when I had my 6-hour day of classes.
And that was sociology and communications, right? Do you remember the third class you were taking concurrently?
Was I? Econ, that's right. I forgot. Concurrently. Holy vocabulary. You just won the award for best word used today.
Pretty standard word use in the college world.
When you're an unschool mom.
You're so fun to talk to.
Thank you.
Oh, I love it. Okay, Saul, tell me about the role of autonomy played in your education. How free were you? What did I require of you? Or if I wasn't requiring anything, how was I involved in your education?
Yeah, so basically, autonomy is my middle name. My mom did not require anything of me. Everything was up to me, the path I took. If I wanted to stay in 8th grade, go to community college, it was all up to me. Even throughout taking my classes, my mom or dad never once looked at my grades or like made sure I was like, oh, well, you can't go out tonight with your friends because you have schoolwork to do. Because they trusted. They just knew that I was getting it done. So it's like when you leave your child up to do something, they'll get it done. But when you're actually the crutch for them, like, remember to get this done, then they're actually like, all right, yeah, I'll do this later, next time my mom reminds me.
It's true. Like, I never asked about your grades. I didn't know what your grades were, but then we got a check in the mail that was a reimbursement for your tuition. You got a half scholarship for getting a 4.0.
Hey, wait, to end things off.
Yeah. What are your final words?
Final words. As a graduate with a 4.0, a cumulative grade.
You're looking good in that gold medal.
Thank you. Choose the path that you think would work best for you and lock the flip in. Because guess what? Degrees and stuff, they take time. But guess what time also does? It passes. All right, I have to pay and leave. That was so good. Thank you for having me on the Story Schooling podcast. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
I love you.
See you, Mom.
Love you.
I'm going to holla at you.
If this podcast was helpful for you, please leave us a review and share with a friend. Until next time, start with stories and everything else will follow. You can learn more about our other education projects at angelselda.com and wonderwelllearning.com.